I think, Gaurav, when it comes to communicating a change at an organization level, you have multiple stakeholders. You do have the leadership or the sponsor of the change at the top level. You have, the coalition, leadership. So it could be heads of different units, heads of, different functions, etc. Without whose support, I don't think you can lead a change or you can lead any kind of innovation at an organization level. Then you have the managers, who are driving people, who are taking care of, could be a certain project, could be larger teams, could be, certain processes, So definitely they are also your important stakeholders. And finally, let's not forget our employees.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the GB show. Corporate communications plays a very important role in any organization. Either you want to communicate with the stakeholders, customers, clients, or your internal employees. In cybersecurity specifically, whenever there is an incident, either there is an insider threat, someone has posted something on social media, or there is a breach where the data of the customer, financial document, or employee's data has been leaked, you need to talk to the regulatory bodies, compliance, or even board of directors. The right communication is the key. And to drive this, we need to have a good, amazing person who can drive our corporate communications. What is the framework which we need to use to have the effective communications within the organization, either it's an external incident or internal incidents, or what are the strategies we need to have, or what are the expectations a corporate communication person will have from the technical folks like CTO or CISO. There are many questions which comes on the communication and change management side and how to do effectively tell to all the stakeholders. So to discuss on this particular topic, I have with me today Mrs. Ronita Sengupta. She has decades of experience as change management and corporate communication strategist. She has been Mrs. India International and was a TV anchor to the English news channel. She has been working with many MNC companies and has been advising the different organizations on how to do the effective communications. Let's hear her out. Hi Ronita, welcome to the GB show.
Thank you, Gaurav, for inviting me for this show.
Pleasure is all mine, having Mrs. International at the stage. Okay, and I think 2 decades of experience as a corporate communication and change management lead, strategic lead, which I talk about. So for this show, for my audience, which are majorly from the IT side, the chief information security officer or technology officer, or more of the leaders are watching you right now. For them, I will just like to understand from you that what is the importance of a change management lead and a corporate communication person in an organization. So just your maybe role, that what you do day in, day out, what you have done in 20 years and the importance of the same. So for my audience to start with.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. Firstly, I'm very thrilled and excited to be here. I've heard so much about the GB show, so it's an honor to be in the frame with you. It's a bit of interesting backstory of mine, Gaurav. So I started my journey as an HR professional. Okay. Communication has always been my area of interest, and thankfully, because of my stint in the television as an English news anchor, I kind of got that exposure to work in the media relations field, and then gradually moved into corporate communications and of course the change management part of it. Now, just to kind of, summarize, if we look at the importance of communications in today's IT world, or, at an organization level, I think communication is the bridge. So as a communications professional, any kind of organizational initiative that is happening from technology standpoint or business standpoint, even at a policy and process standpoint, you kind of stitch it up together and you bring it for the people, because awareness is the key to any progress story. I think, you would agree to that. So communications or corporate communications at an internal and an external level plays that pivotal role of kind of bringing the brand story to people. So whether you talk about tech innovations that an organization is doing, whether you talk about the strategic goal of the leadership, I think corporate communication brings forward that narrative to people and tell them that story that, how we are progressing ahead. So that's what communication plays a role in. When it comes to change, I think, Gaurav, one of the important model of change that I've learned is, as a change practitioner, that changes can happen at any point of time. So whether you bring change, let's say at a country level, at a society level, or at a company level or people level, I think there are certain facets to it. So change doesn't happen in a day's time, just the way they say Rome was not built in a day. So change also takes its own pace. I think the best way to approach, change at any point of time is first to create awareness. Second is to create desire for the change. Third would be to build the capabilities or knowledge. Fourth is to also build, the ability area, once you have the knowledge. And the fifth would be to bring reinforcement so that you can sustain the change. I think the moment you master the art of the adker, that's what the 5 form stands for, I think you can be a successful change practitioner.
Okay, and communicating the change is also a very important and crucial role. So when we do communication in the organization, who are the stakeholders and what all things you need to keep in mind, and what are your touch base in the organization? So from the framework perspective, so that I can understand more the role of a corporate communication better. So
yeah, sure. So I think, Gaurav, when it comes to communicating a change at an organization level, you have multiple stakeholders. You do have the leadership or the sponsor of the change at the top level. You have, the coalition, leadership. So it could be heads of different units, heads of, different functions, etc. Without whose support, I don't think you can lead a change or you can lead any kind of innovation at an organization level. Then you have the managers, who are driving people, who are taking care of, could be a certain project, could be larger teams, could be, certain processes, So definitely they are also your important stakeholders. And finally, let's not forget our employees, our workforce. Okay. So whenever you are working on a communication piece, I think you have to understand who your target audience or your end users are. And I think that communication needs to be customized at a level where it can flow from the top to the grassroots, but at the same time, across the diverse fields. So let's look at our leadership. Let's look at our, managers community. Let's look at our project management team, and definitely our employees and workforce from different communication standpoint.
Fair enough. And I think when the organizations are doing good and everything is gaga all around, the communication becomes very easy, right? But then if there are some critical scenarios, some incidents, and because I deal with the CISO community more, and I will like to ask on that part. Let's say there is an incident in an organization where, all employees' data has been lost or customers' data has gone. So as a corporate communication, how you will think to communicate about it, what all will be in your mind, and what is the approach you are going to take to, so that it will not hamper the situation further, but you can control and do effective communication at that time.
Okay. So Gaurav, firstly, I would like to say that the CISO and the tech team, I think they always have the trigger, the gun at their head, because they are really handling a very critical component of the organization. And let's agree to the fact that we are in a very ambiguous cyberspace today, with the kind of cyber threat that looms, in a day-to-day life, or the data breach, or, the security incidents that we come across. I definitely feel that, they are playing a very critical role in order to protect, the organization and the brand. But when it comes to the communications approach or the communications team role over here, I think it has to be a role of being allies to each other.
Okay.
The CISO or the compliance team or the tech team and the communications team, if they join hands, I think a lot of communication channels can be opened up for people awareness, for organizational awareness. So for instance, what I have learned in my journey in the communications field is that it's very important to have a communication policy and a cybersecurity policy in place, because while the communication piece or the information can come from the CISO team or the compliance team, I think it is the communications department which helps to run it across different channels. Now, whether you want to do email communication, whether you want to make case studies out of it, you want to make posters, you want to make flyers, and even if you want to have huddles, bring together the people, bring together the tech team to make them aware, and also encourage your leadership to kind of come on the floor, tell people, say you're the CISO of an organization, or you're the chief technology officer. I think you would need the support of the CEO to walk the talk with you. Just by sending a communication, just by organizing trainings, I think that's just not going to solve the problem. So as a corporate communications person or a strategist, my approach is to kind of bring the board and the tech team together to join hands. And of course, the policies play a very integral role in syncing up the two areas in what should we do in order to safeguard the reputation of the organization should an incident like this happen.
And what will be your expectations from CISO and CTO in this situation, that what all information they should give you to have your communication more effectively, or maybe I will call, so that you can do your job more efficiently?
Great. And in order to answer this question, Gaurav, I think I'm going to share a bit of my experience over here.
Yeah.
Most of the times, I think what I have observed or what I have understood from the case studies of different organizations, or where the statistics calls it out, that the board and the technology team needs to shake hands together, okay? Sometimes there is a misalignment between the organization's, strategic goals and the technical or the technology innovations that an organization would like to drive. Now, for instance, say it is the responsibility of the tech team to give the correct picture of what is the cyber frame or the cybersecurity framework of the organization. As a tech team person or as a CISO, if I do not give the right picture to you as the board member or the executive management, then what will happen is tomorrow when a damage occurs, we will be in no position to kind of, take care of that. So a lot of organizations I see that the tech team tries to paint a very pretty picture that, everything is fine, all is hunky-dory. But in reality, I think what happens is they are also asking you to invest in a particular tool or in a cybersecurity, technology where they're not able to rationalize it. So the board doesn't give you the green signal to, buy that technology. So I think it's definitely important as the CISO or the tech team to give the right interpretation of, why that data, or that new data or a new tool or a technology is required, so that you can safeguard the organization. Because when the damage happens, it is definitely a substantial loss of the organization's reputation. And I think at that time, as a communications person, you may send out a press release, you may send out hundreds of communications to your internal team members, or you reach out to your clients and customers, okay? But you would not be able to do anything about it. The cost for the reactive damage will be much more than the proactive investment you would have made. And I think I would like to cite an example. You must be aware because you're from the cybersecurity space. Sometime back, there was an online lingerie, brand where there was a massive data breach. And I think massive data breach where I think women of globally were, I think, compromised, where the information, their email addresses, phone numbers, etc. went berserk. Now, what I found was that the organization did not come forward to inform their customers, So definitely there has been a considerable reputational damage, not only to the organization, but a huge safety security concern for thousands of their, users. Yeah. I think nobody wants to be in that space. So that is where the CISO plays an important role, the compliance person, the board, and the corporate communications. What I feel is you need a seat at the table today. All the three, the board, the tech team, and the corporate communication needs to come together to ensure that we avoid these situations at all costs, whether it is to engage with our external customers and stakeholders or with our internal teams. I think you need to understand that should there be future chances of data breach or security concerns, we need to shake hands together to ensure that we come up with
and in that case,
means.
because of the case which you have mentioned for the lingerie, where the whole database was leaked. So there are many cases we have seen that one of the pizza outlet or one of the grocery outlet, or we have seen some of the, one of the bike which I purchased, their whole database was leaked. So now as a corporate communication leader, if that of the kind of an incident which is coming to you, what should be your best approach to that should go to media, or what kind of communication, and how you will engage your stakeholders? So I know you are working with many different boards and advising them as well. And if someone asks you, what you would like to suggest them?
I think you alone cannot win this battle. You need support of your legal team. You need to engage with a reputed, PR agency. It could be external, or you can have an internal, PR agency or PR team with you, and you need to make, those constant communication with your internal stakeholders. Say, you just don't give out all the details, right? So should there be a data breach incident, which has happened in your organization, I think the tech team and the communications team should make a case study out of that, instead of obviously giving the full names, and just circulate it to employees so that they are aware that, such a situation may have happened or can happen in future, and these are the ways in which we need to safeguard. So more the requirement of training and awareness at that point of time to ensure that, we do not repeat history again. When it comes to external stakeholders, I think it is very important to be transparent. It's important to be transparent and responsible with your communications. Look, we all make mistakes, and I think that's how we learn. So those experiences teaches us to be much more stronger and much more robust, in building the brand strategy and, kind of putting that narrative to the external world. I think having a press release, engaging in responsible conversations, getting all our important stakeholders together, in a meeting and letting them know is the best way to approach. And I think communications, it's a two-way process, so you have to have the constant engaging and constant conversations flowing between all the parties. I think that's the best way.
And will it be same if this is the internal incidents, like right now you're talking about there's an external hacker or someone who got the data out, but if there is someone internal to the organization and putting the information out, like we have seen some of the incidents which are coming in, an employee of a bank being on LinkedIn and discuss about the internal issues, and we have seen one of the big educational firm where people are discussing their salaries, recording the conversation with the manager and putting on the LinkedIn and Instagram. So in that case, because that is an incident for the organization as well, right? How you should have taken care of that?
I know. And in fact, I was going through those posts myself. It was a element of, shock and disbelief for me, honestly. Okay. But also there's a sense of sadness, because I think it's a system failure, Gaurav. If your employee are facing concern and knocking at your door, if you are not the people, like whether you're in HR or you're in a leadership role or a manager, if you do not, kind of help out that point of time to, I'm not talking about pacifying the situation, but, be empathetic, listen to that employee. Is there no way that we could help them out? But if all those channels fail, and I think the case of the bank employee that we are talking about, which was all over on the LinkedIn, I think HR definitely did not play their role well. Neither did the leadership, understand the gravity of the situation. So when an employee is pushed to the corner, and it was a matter of a racist comment being passed, or, her safety and security being, questioned, I think what she did is something that probably a normal human being would have done to defend herself. So it's important. I wouldn't say that that was the correct approach, but let's understand that do we have adequate internal policies and safeguard mechanisms where we protect our employees? Because if you're not going to do that, then they will take law in their hands. So I think the two instances of the educational one where people have been, obviously taking video. So that means it's a failure of a social media policy internally. I think the governance model was just absent over there. Similarly, for the bank case, I think HR should have risen to purpose. Or they should have, at least given the employee, I think, the proper course of action to kind of mitigate that case. But when you fail, when leadership do not rise to the occasion, you will see many such cases happening. I think it's an awakening call for all of us.
Fair enough. And as you have touched point, very, thing which is very close to me, which is called the user awareness, and you are talking about the awareness of the employees and things like these policies, how they should act, and everything that is CISO or the CTO or the communication folks need to tell all the employees that how they should behave. For that, most of the organization or what they are doing is sending some awareness emailers, and if people click on that, they are doing this phishing simulation, exercising, penalizing, or asking them to do some online training again and again. Do you think it's effective, or something else need to be done?
I think it's effective, and I'm fine with it. But the fact is, let's understand. So Gaurav, I'm not a tech person. I don't understand what cybersecurity may be all about. So if I am the person who's the owner of, that particular segment in my organization. I also need to find out what excites my employees the most. Is it, them looking at the email, because there could be thousands of emails coming to your inbox, okay? And then if I fail to see it because of other deliverables, am I susceptible to be penalized, okay? So why not have a two-way approach to it? While the communication and, the self-learning trainings go hand in hand, again, I mentioned it is important that the tech team, okay, or the process owner must walk to the employee and talk about, about what the organization is looking at. Why are we doing these awareness sessions, or why the training is important? Because sometimes it's important to start from the ground level, okay? And let's understand that an employee has a lot of deliverables to do. So as the CISO or the tech head, or maybe even as the manager, okay, let's take that responsibility of going to our employees and say, 5 minutes, just, do the session and help to make this organization more safer. I think that human approach is very important. Today, we are very comfortable, sitting at our desk, sending out an email, or, telling people, ki, aap log kar lo. But wo drive kaun karega? The CISO team or the tech team, or let's say the HR team or the communications team, and even the managers, they play an equally, I think, responsible role to ensure that we safeguard our organization's, cybersecurity or data, etc., by going and talking to the employees and following that examples ourselves.
And how you think the leadership will play a role here? Because the board, right, it's always from top to bottom approach. People will follow what the management is preaching, right? So where you think the leadership should come in picture and do this walk the talk kind of thing?
I think leadership should be part of those, meetings or those flow walks that needs to happen, let's say Gaurav Batra, being the leader of, the CXO fraternity, should walk the talk himself and, go to all his employees, say, look, guys, I have done this. Have you done that? Most of the times, I think leaders feel that, okay, this is the responsibility of the so-and-so department. And of course it is. But I think that extra touch, of a leader just walking at a ground level and telling employees that this is important, or sending out a communication that, hey guys, have you done it? Because I have done my session is very important.
Then it makes sense, because CISOs want this to happen. And if CEO himself is coming that, okay, he's our CISO and he has asked me this and I'm doing it, you also do this. I think that's amazing thought point you have given. And I think if every organization, all CEOs take this up, the life of CISO is going to be easy.
Absolutely.
In that case, right? So, if I talk about your life and about it more, what kind of good and bad situations you have seen in your career, or something you like to share with us?
I think it's been a roller coaster ride, honestly speaking. I have had 20 years of my stint in the corporate field, and, I've had experiences in, being there as a news anchor and all. I am very blessed and fortunate for all the difficulties that I've faced, the challenges that have been thrown at me, and for all the times my credibility has been questioned, because that has only made me more determined and strong, Gaurav, that I need to make an impact. And I think what I've learned in my 20 years of career journey, that doesn't matter where you are and what you do. If you're able to make an impact, you're able to change at least few more lives, that makes you the person you're going to be for tomorrow. So they say that, if you really want to be a leader, you need to start thinking from that point of view and being in the shoes of a leader. So my lesson, and definitely all the good and bad put together, is how to make an impact, how to be authentic. I think that is what I would like to believe in.
Okay. Why I asked you specifically this question is because I was going through one of your article. It's mentioning about snake and ladders, right?
Yes.
So you have got more snakes in your career or more ladders. And what is the analogy all about? Why you thought of writing this kind of article, and what was going in mind when you were writing it? Maybe some experiences or something. So I want to more about it. Open up.
So I don't know, if I should give it out, over here. But yes, I think the snakes and ladder is a very interesting game we've played since our childhood. And I think the journey in a corporate world for a woman, and please don't feel that I'm not empathetic towards men, because I think when I look at the CXO Junction and, the Gaurav Batra show, I see you have all females, moving around, it's a very diverse team. So I suppose, and that's what your team has been saying, that you've been the ladder, in their journey. But unfortunately, many women face more snakes than ladder, and I think when you are facing those snakes and you're not able to, you reach the 99th squared, but then again you drop down to 1. I think that fall should be the one that should teach you that should you come across snakes like this, be it in the form of societal challenges, be it in the form of your own personal limitations, or being it the form of leadership, okay, at an organization level, who do not support you enough, who do not give you credibility for what you're doing. I think it's important that you make a mark, like you push through like a bulldozer. You have to cripple the snakes. You can't stop. Okay, so you may be thrown 10 times, but 11th time you have to walk up the ladder. I think that's what my article talks about. And I think the importance of making allies at workplace. What I have seen in the Indian corporate industry is that workplace friendships are not encouraged, Women are pitted against each other. And I think that's what I was telling Mohini today, when we were talking, that it's important that you understand who are your comrades. Because if women support each other, you're going to go a long way. I think that is the need of the hour today. And that's what I'm going to be delving in. There'll be more articles coming up. And
amazing. Looking forward to, because if this first one was so interesting, then I think next one are going to be all the best and all the wishes for you. And I will like to know that, because later you are talking about, so snakes, of course, everyone has. I just want to know your support function, like what worked well for you. And you have achieved many. Like if I talk about Mrs. World International.
Mrs. India International.
Mrs. India International. Okay. So what went well over there, and if you have been there, whom you want to give the credit to, or what worked well for you? I will like to know.
I think Mrs. India International happened because I wanted to challenge myself. Okay. And I also wanted to challenge the norm of body shaming and ageism that we women face. So I participated in Mrs. India International when I was in my late 30s, okay? So against a lot of family raising questions, obviously kind of pushing myself across the boundaries that, I need to do it. There was a lot of mental and physical, exertion that I had to take. But I had one of the best exposure that I could ask for in my life. I would personally like to thank my mentor, Lisa Verma. She's an icon in the fashion world. She has trained Sushmita Sen, Manushi Chillar, Neha Dhupia, all those big time, beauty queens, and obviously, where are they today? But she had that faith in me, so she kind of really pushed me to go ahead and give my best shot. Of course, in the final round, I think if you see the clips, you will see that I fall down in one of the ramp walks, So that was a snake, right? I was not ready for it. I fell down in one of the ramp walk, and, I kind of just got up, and I remember I threw a kiss to the audience, and I walked, and then I came back in the next round. I did feel that, I may not win it at all. But when the results were announced, when I got the first runner-up position, I think what mattered to me was people coming and congratulating me for the confidence and the courage that I displayed. Yeah. And I think that is what I would like to promote, or I would tell women, or I would be the biggest advocate that come what may. I think it's your courage, it's your resilience, and it's your fearlessness that takes you ahead. So you have to have a voice. You have to have that on the table, that once, I step up and I take my throne, I'm not going to step down.
Awesome. And I think that is the attitude all women should have. And you are doing great work in that space, where even you are encouraging women to be on the board. But what we have seen is in the tech space, or specifically in cybersecurity, there are very less women. What you will like to talk about that, and in the board as well, there are very less women. So what's your thoughts on that?
I think we need more Gaurav Batras in the tech space, so that, you can have more diverse teams like this. Because honestly, I was thoroughly impressed, Gaurav, with, the way I saw your team over here. But definitely the need of the women's representation is really a lot in cyberspace today. I think one of the areas where I think women themselves have to work a lot is, coming up with their own success story. They need to voice it out, that I need to be there, I need to represent, I need to kind of have a say, in that particular forum. I think more awareness is amongst women themselves, that, we need to be there in that space. Half of the battle is won. The second thing is awareness amongst the cyber leadership team today, or at an organization level, that it is a need to have more women, at a leadership role in cyberspace or encouraging them to take up tech roles, because if you don't have that, I think we are missing out on a lot of diverse viewpoint and a lot more innovations and initiative that can just come with the involvement of women workforce. So I think awareness, I think channelizing internal talent that we have, and definitely women standing up for themselves. In the cybersecurity space today, we need that diverse force, and I'm sure, with that, the world would be a more cyber safe space for people like us. So I will definitely request you that you should be one of the trailblazer, going to organizations and, telling them or talking about the need of women being there in the cyber boards.
No, I know my whole leadership team is all women, and I think they are doing amazing job. If I talk about CyberFred or CXO Junction, if people see that on social media or how this organization has got a growth in last 2 years, it's, I think I can take a name of like Moini, Bharvi, Sejal, Ria, my wife Dipti, they're part of the leadership team doing a great stuff over here. And I know for my audience, I just want to give you a hint that Ronita is coming with something which is gonna be interesting for the ladies over there. And I want all my women leaders to get featured with you, but you want to give some thing here, or you still want to have those things under the wrap?
Under the wrap. Yeah, but all I can say, thank you, Gaurav, for giving a bit of trailer over here. But yes, I think I am coming with something that will be a movement in itself. Okay. And I'm not sure whether the world will be ready for it, but definitely with support of trailblazers like you and the women out there, a lot of women that I'm meeting now, I'm talking to, I think a lot of ideas are getting generated. So hopefully we're going to put the pieces together and come up with something that women can relate to, and they find a voice, to talk about their stories. I think that's what I would like to do.
Amazing, awesome, and I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you.
And Ronita, it was amazing talking to you. So my last segment here, okay, where I would like you to talk to my audience directly. Either these tech folks or board of directors, they are sitting and looking forward for someone who can actually drive the communications for them. If they need to get a good person on board, maybe as an advisor or as a full-time role, what they should look out for. So my audience is all yours.
So for the cyber, and the technology teams, okay, and organizations where you are looking at people to support you in the communications role, you need to look for a fine blend of someone with technology knowledge at the same time of the industry knowledge. I think these two go really hand in hand. So the need of the hour, as I always say, is a blending of the different talent together. So I think from the communication standpoint, it is important that the communications team is aware of, what's happening at the different space of technology. Make yourself more well updated about it, read a lot, do your case studies, go back and kind of, seek industry help, and definitely come up with a robust framework on technology communications. I think have policies in place, have, a lot of focus group discussions, talk more to people, walk the talk, especially for the leaders, and have a sustainable, flow of communication so that people get more aware and people are more well prepared to face any cyber threat that may come in tomorrow for your organization or for, the society at large. I think it's important to be individually responsible as well for it. So that's my take. I think the reason why you can come to me, you can pick up the phone and talk to me or somebody of, from the communications fraternity, is because we can help you to reach out to the correct forums, whether it is getting you connected to the right PR agency or how you should draft a communication in terms of, ensuring that whatever damage has happened, how do you ensure that you assure your people. You kind of talk about the different ways in which we should safeguard, our organization. I think those are some of the tips and techniques and strategies that people like us, like, the communication specialists can give you. So it is important that when a situation happens, you just don't try to brush it aside. You kind of talk about it and have a transparent form of communication. And I think that's where communication strategists like us play an important role.
Sure. Thank you, Ronita, for being on the GB show. As a last ritual, I have something for you. You have given all your precious information, so it's a small goodie bag for you.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. I'm really honored to be here, and I hope that, this session is.
I think they're gonna love it, and I hope you are loving it already. I'll see you next time, same time. Till then, take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.